Last night, I had a vision. I was with Big Pop, Martin, and Malcolm. The last thing I remember them saying was Gorealla. On top of the jungle, on top of the world, call me King Kong. It's grace. Okay, so the fourth law, universal law, is grace. And now grace, you know, you hear a lot of talk about grace, especially if you're in the Christian community. You know what I'm saying? And we try and really cater to everybody. The reason why is because we know that everybody doesn't believe the same way. So, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes people don't believe. You know what I mean? They actually just go off of knowing and trusting. But trusting is the same thing as believing. So, you know, we'll go with that. Oh, my God, my man Johnny Quantum 369 in the habitat. What's going on with you, Johnny Q? So we about to get into not karma. Let me get it right. We get into the law of grace. All right. The law of grace is similar to wisdom, can chop down on your karma. Okay. And how karma is paid back. The reason being, and it's pretty deep, is because when it comes to grace, grace is one of those things that is granted beyond you. You know what I'm saying? It's almost granted to you. So therefore, you know what I'm saying? Because the source of how you gain grace is something that is, you know, experiential, but at the same time more godly, is also a way to say, you know what, we can reverse and mitigate the karmic debt that you have to pay back through certain experiences. All right. So with grace, grace is defined as courteous goodwill. All right. Courteous goodwill. So how do we show courteous goodwill? We show courteous goodwill by, you know, doing something for others, exposing a need and serving that need. OK, you know, you see somebody who's struggling to do something because you were one way in the past. You've created karmic debt, you know, that has to be taken care of. And sometimes by doing right by people, that's also very easy a way to mitigate some of that karmic debt. And that's just by doing what you need to be doing, you know, being a good person, being a good human, being a good gorilla. You know what I mean? And by being a good gorilla, we mean like, look, you know, it's not hard to see that somebody needs help with something. Very simple. You know, you see somebody that's got their hands full trying to get into an office or a building, or you open the door for them. You know what I'm saying? You extend a hello and a bit of kindness in a world where everybody's walking past each other like no one exists. You know, you do different things like that, and grace is granted upon you. Okay, so similar to wisdom, karma can be offset by doing right by someone, or just by doing right by people. So that's another, you know, example of what we're talking about. So now, you know, I'm going to put some examples of this because it makes more sense when you realize what it is that you're already doing to either transgress the law or to be in alignment with the law. And that's something very important, because if you don't know that you're doing something that doesn't warrant grace, changing a simple habit would be awesome in order to start getting that grace and having good things happen in your life. Because a lot of people, they have these threads of events that happen, and it's one right after another. And it's like, you know, how you deal with those events also can grant grace to you. So situations happen and you ask, you know, man, I don't know what's going on with this situation, man, but if I did wrong to anybody, man, I just, you know, I apologize and I ask forgiveness. And that's just speaking out loud to the universe, to God, to, you know what I'm saying, the listening spirit. Then those actions of asking for forgiveness can get you grace. You can be granted grace because of that. Or if you're on the other side of the fence and you know that somebody has wronged you, you know that somebody has done something, you know, in transgression to you and what you do for them. And with that, you know, they go against you. And with that, you sit up there and simply say, hey, you know, I forgive you. Whether you say it to the person or not, you can simply say, I forgive you. You know, I forgive that person. I wash myself of that issue and I'm going with it. And you've granted grace to that person. You see what I'm saying? Whether they know it or not. Or when somebody comes to you and willingly asks for forgiveness and you grant them grace. That's another way to get grace yourself. So these are things that, and you gotta, a lot of us talk about grace. We talk about God's grace and the reason why, we're able to be here. If you want to look at it from the Christian perspective, that, we're allowed to be here because of God's grace. Some will actually tell you we're operating in God's grace right now. You know what I mean? Based off of, like I said, theological ideology. Is to say we're operating in grace. That being the case, I think grace is earned on a basis of you just doing right by people. You doing right by choosing the situations. Because another way that they describe grace is the divine influence or human experience. Grace can be granted to us because of our deeds. So how can it be done? Because we do right by other people. You have to remember one thing, people. Let's not forget, okay? If we are all different versions of God, experiencing himself or herself or itself through our actions and choices, okay? When we do right by one another, it's like saying we're doing right by God. So therefore, grace is granted upon us. See, you have to understand that just because you have a thought and you make a choice doesn't mean that one, the choice wasn't already known what you were going to make, or two, what caused the choice, or any of that other information that goes into play in making that, i.e. your intent. Your intent is already known. Okay? Your intent is already known. It is only through the action of decision making that you experience what was already known was going to happen. And that experience is what is taken back to the Most High. Why? Because it wants to experience itself through us. And we're the only ways to do it in this three-dimensional platform or holographic experience, if you want to call it that. Either way, the point is, when you do right by others, grace is granted to you because you're basically doing right by God. So if that makes sense, it should make even more sense when you realize that all you have to do is just play your part. Play your position. You don't have to be nobody else. Be you. And by being you, grace will come faster. Now, when you're trying to be somebody else, you're living in a lie already. If you're trying to be this person, okay, I'm most influenced by rappers. I'm just talking out general. I'm most influenced by rappers I see on television that have big wads of money, holding it to their ear. They have the flyest, saying designs, and everything looks like they're enjoying life, okay? If I'm most influenced by that, well, that's going to dictate how I act towards people, okay? So 9 times out of 10, I won't get grace unless on the back end you see me act this way. But what I do on the other side of it is, I utilize all those funds to develop communities and, provide opportunities for people, create jobs, provide good experiences by taking people on the road with me and, just doing right by the people in my community, donating books, donating monies, donating clothes, drives, and all these good type of good deeds, goodwill deeds that you can do. You will be able to mitigate some of the other things that you do by just being a rapper. The different negative ills that you take on by being that individual. So the point being is that, through grace, we're able to mitigate a lot of what happens karmically to us. And the way we do that is by, once again, extending beyond ourselves. I don't want to stay in seclusion and not deal with other people. I deal with people as I walk past them on a day-to-day basis. A kind word while I'm in line at a supermarket, a kind gesture to a person who's in need, showing a little bit of love, empathy, or sympathy towards somebody who is, compassionately, in the rears right now, needs assistance. All these different things you can do to gain grace. So grace is very important. And grace also, one of the good things about grace can actually, and if you follow time, it can actually cut down on your time in regards to how much time you spend to get something. because once you're granted grace, you know, you may not understand grace very well. You may not know how to operate or generate grace. You may not know when you're being shown grace. But by being able to just stay in a certain place, you're able to receive grace and it work on your behalf. So, you know, a lot of different things with that. I just recommend that that's one of the things that, you know, where if you're already doing it, do more of it. And that's going to help, you know what I'm saying, get you into different places, get you into different positions to help you out, to help you accomplish different things and mitigate a lot of that ills that you have. If you're, you know, like one of those individuals who do more wrong than right, well, you know, you may want to, you know, start exercising a lot of good judgment, as well as how you deal with people. You know what I mean? So that can assist you in receiving more grace, so you can operate in one of these newly understood universal laws. So, you know what I say, man? Just do right by people, man. Just go real. Just go real, because all you got to do is be you and be real. And if you're being real, life awaits the possibilities of what can happen. You know what I'm saying? Just by being real to yourself. You know, I'm not going to put on no mask today. I'm going to be me. And when I say mask, I'm not talking about the face covering. I'm talking about the face covering of being somebody that you're really not, in order to obtain something that it's not rightfully yours anyway. Okay? So just a couple of things to think about. Number one, when it comes to grace, be you, do you, and do right as you would have others do, you know, do by you. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure that you do right by other people, so they do right by you. You help other people, so they're always willing to help you. You know, two, you know, just also make sure that, you know, you're operating in a place of forgiveness, man. Listen, okay, when you are able to really say, you know what, I'm gonna let this go. Buddy transcended against me, transgressed against me. He or she did this to me, that to me. You know what? But I'm gonna let it go. That is also another way that you can be shown grace. I know a lot of you have heard the term let go and let God. Well, that is you granting grace to someone else. So when you grant grace to someone else, grace is granted to you. Karma. So not only do you mitigate your karma, but you actually put yourself to receive control with the kind of karma you receive. So these are the type of things that we need to think about, man. Grace, the number 4 law of the universe. The number 1 was karma. Number 2 was number 1 was harmony. Number 2 was reincarnation and karma. 3 was wisdom. Number 4 is grace. We're going to start mixing them up a little bit too. Not in order, but more so like, you know, providing 1 or 2 or 3 in the same little segment that we're talking about. So we can kind of, you know, I don't want this to be drawn out, and I want you to stay into it, and I want you to get it. But I also want to make sure that some things, you know, they're pretty quick, pretty succinct, and pretty knowledgeable in which you already understand what they are. So we don't have to expand on them too much. But just to let you know, we're still at it. We're still here. This is day number 106. 106? Is that day 106? Nah, it's day 105. Yeah, day 105. Day 105. We're still here, baby. Still knocking it out. Why? Because we go real, baby. God, morning, REALLA. Go real, life awaits. God, family, gorilla. Let's go, man. Get your fur right. Pound your chest. Provide grace to somebody so grace will be provided for you. All right, my realists? Johnny Q, I see you, man. Go REALLA.
Last night, I had a vision. I was with Biggie, Pop, Martin, and Malcolm. And the last thing I remember them saying was go REALLA. On top of the jungle, on top of the world. Call me King Kong, no white girl. My state of mind, empire building. Go real, life await. in it. Born with a purpose, and that purpose is to win it. Once I took control, some friendships ended. I told them I was God, and some even got offended.
Last night, I had a vision. I was with Biggie, Pop, Martin, and Malcolm. And the last thing I remember them saying was Gorealla.
On top of the jungle, on top of the world. Call me King Kong, no white girl. My state of mind, empire building. Go real life awaits, what a feeling. 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 Go real life awaits, gorilla. Sky's the limit, so I pin it like I'm in it. Born with a purpose, and that purpose is to win it. Once I took control, some friendships ended. I told them I was God, and some even got offended. I'm here for